Thank you so much for the invitation and introductions. Communities and individuals all around the world build their lifestyles, economy, food systems, and cultures around the landscape where they live. This connection to landscapes occurs even at a biological level. From the moment we're in our mother's womb, our cells and body grows supported by the food and water we consume and the environments we live in. Migration, whether voluntary or forced, disconnect people from the critical support, from the landscape of support that provide to their lives. This disconnect can negatively impact their health and well-being. In addition, migrants often experience further challenges when adapting to new and unfamiliar landscape. This can be amplified by the large amounts of migrants who find themselves living large agricultural and nature-filled landscapes, the rural landscapes, to settle in informal urban environments without access to safe water and sanitation, in overcrowded conditions, and in an unfamiliar, capitalistic, and harsh urban life. In Peru, rural to urban migrants make up over 3.3 million people. Most of these migrants live in vulnerable conditions, and without access to safe housing, they informally settle on land surrounding the major cities, where access to water, sanitation, and other essential urban services is lacking. It is estimated that a third of the households in Peru live in informal communities. So in our research, Leann and I, we have two key questions. What can we do as landscape architects to establish the landscape support role within these new landscapes where migrants arrive, to provide health supporting services to migrant communities once again? Similarly, the other question we have is, can we help nurture the migrants' stewardship of an adaptation to the new landscapes by tapping into the specialized knowledge they carry with them from their home landscapes for the mutual benefits of their health and the health of the host communities and ecosystems?
So we're going to briefly share two experiences in two different communities in Peru to shed light on the possibilities of the role landscape architects might have in migration and health. The first is the community of Alicio Collazos, which is established in the desert slums in the north coast of Lima. Most migrated here from farming communities in the Andes Mountains. And then the other is the community of Claverito, which is primarily a fishing community, most of who migrated from small villages in the rainforest to the floodplains on the edge of the city of Iquitos in the Amazonian region of Peru. People have migrated for different reasons. Some have felt they had no choice, with decreased productivity of agriculture, over-extraction of resources in the jungle, and others moved by choice, traveling into the cities in the hopes of a better life for their families. However, these communities are challenged by several health issues, such as depression, anxiety, parasitic disease, chronic diarrhea, injuries, mosquito-borne illnesses, lots of other things brought up by the informal urban conditions. So in both communities, our team measured baseline health conditions. We worked closely with community members to implement smaller scale household gardens and larger scale public green spaces. And then we measured the health outcomes afterwards. We provided garden infrastructure, soil, plants, and seeds, participatory design processes, technical guidance, and in the case of the desert community, a source for water from fog collection. We gave residents complete choice of plants. Here we discovered that people chose plants that they are familiar with and know how to grow, of course, but also that they have a strong emotional, cultural, or biological connection to. And this supports the theory of topophilia. When people migrate, they take their landscapes with them wherever they go. So for example, many chose plants that would provide ingredients to their favorite family recipes. So here is a family in Claverito that's chosen plants that support the dish parrashka, which is very popular in the jungle. Others chose plants with a spiritual or a cultural meaning. So this green space was planted with medicinal plants that residents grew up using in the jungle. And then on the image on the right shows a paraquina negra, which is meant to protect your house in many indigenous cultures. And yet others chose ornamental or habitat supporting plants, which is a desire to combat the harsh urban conditions with beauty and butterflies.
We document the residents and their gardens over years and found several patterns. In Eliseo Collazos, residents started out choosing primarily ornamental plants and over time shift to food-productive plants, primarily potatoes, fruits, and vegetables, and began organizing as a community farming group, reflecting their lives prior to migration from the Andes. With time and sharing knowledge within their community, they got better at learning how to grow Andean plants in their new landscapes. For example, one resident was producing 90 kilos of passion fruit in just only in 8 square meters in the area. In Claverito, the outcome was different. This community migrated with a specialized fishing knowledge, but previously had picked their fruits, veggies, and nuts from the rainforest, and therefore did not migrate with knowledge of how to tend to soil or plants. Their initial plant choices were primarily food plants, which shifted over time to easier to grow native medicinal or ornamental plants. We're still trying different skill building workshops with this community to secure the sustainability of these green spaces. However, while individual planting knowledge was a struggle for Claverito, we did discover that Claverito migrated with unique traditional landscape planning knowledge. How to build a floating setting mill, which our team found creates a rich environment of wood and aquatic vegetation that provides valuable health benefits, cleaning the water and providing critical habitat for native amphibians, reptiles, birds, and fish.
So we've been tracking the health and well-being of residents over time and have found some promising preliminary results. This is in Eliseo Collazos, all categories of quality of life increased before and after the gardens and the green space intervention. Over 1 year, our scales related to quality of life, social capital, and perceived stress increased by 48%. Life-threatening experiences reduced by 25%, and parent and partner empathy, social capital, and biometry increased by 10%. In Claverito, we found significant decreases in food and medicine insecurity, depression and anxiety, and falls and injuries. Residents also reported significant increases in community pride and seeing their community as beautiful. In addition, in Claverito, we found the aquatic vegetation and floodplain agriculture brought by the traditionally designed floating community infrastructure form valuable habitat islands for birds, butterflies, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and other aquatic life. This landscape knowledge the residents migrated with, paired with the new knowledge acquired from the implementation of the gardens and green spaces, not only contributed to the health of the residents, but also to the health of the animals and the ecosystems they now live with. Our team discovered the aquatic vegetation reduced E. coli in the water by up to 98% in the top 10 to 15 centimeters of the river, which was a benefit for the entire city. And we found 13 new species of birds and 11 new species of butterflies before and after the implementation of our gardens and green spaces. This begins to open conversations about the importance of considering the health of the host communities and environments, as well as the health of the people who have migrated. Unfortunately, these traditional floating communities and the unique sociocultural, ecological lifestyles are under threat, and the government has begun taking action to relocate them well away from the river. So we leave you with these thoughts. Landscape architects can have an important role in supporting migrants and their health and quality of life. However, this requires a strong, trusting relationship built over time with adapted participatory processes. And participatory processes need to both listen and educate. Listen to the specialized knowledge of landscapes that people have migrated from, and educate when necessary on the landscapes that they have migrated to. Only democratic and educational landscapes can support migrants' long-term stewardship of these life-supporting landscapes, benefiting their health and the health of the ecosystems and the communities that now host them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this presentation so full of data and practical issues, and sharing with us this model of research and practical approach to communities, which I think we will all benefit of. Thank you so much.